Fraser, I'm the Governor-General's Official Secretary. As this badge signifies, with its crossed quills, I'm also Secretary of the Council for the Order of Australia, who recommend appointments and awards in the Orders General Division to the Governor-General. Governor-General, of course, is Chancellor of the Order of Australia and Principal Knight of the Order. I'm also Secretary of the Australian Bravery Decorations Council, the body which makes recommendations to the Governor-General for Bravery Awards. I would particularly like to acknowledge amongst our distinguished guests today Mr Craig Kelly, representing the Prime Minister, Senator Katie Gallagher, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Vice Admiral Ray Griggs, representing the Chief of Defence Force, Rear Admiral Jonathan Mead, representing Chief of Army, Major General Rick Burr, representing Chief of Army. I may have said the last guest, in fact, Jonathan Mead, representing Chief of Navy, Major General Rick Burr, representing Chief of Army, Air Vice Marshal Lee Gordon, representing Chief of Air Force, Ms Stephanie Foster, representing the Commissioner of the Australian Public Service, Mr Andrew Wood, representing the Commissioner of the Australian Federal Police, Mr Philip Flood, President of the Order of Australia Association, and Mr Bruce Truatha, Chairman of the ACT branch of the Order of Australia Association. Ladies and gentlemen, guests all, it's a special day today, not only for recipients, but also for their families, friends, and our community. It's a day when we celebrate a diverse range of impressive achievement and service. As staff at Government House, my colleagues and I are privileged to play a small part in the recognition and celebration of that achievement, and we hope that today we make this a special occasion that you all recall with pride for a long time to come. Shortly, I'll invite you to stand as their Excellencies enter the room. Please remain standing for the singing of the first verse of the National Anthem. You're all very welcome to join in. Words are on page 3 of your program, should you need them. The investiture will then begin and proceed in the order listed in your programs. Once I read their names and citations, the recipients will enter the room from the doorway on my right, and after they have been invested, they will leave via the centre aisle through the audience to take their seats at the back of the room. At this point, you might like to show your appreciation with some short applause as each recipient leaves the room. At the conclusion of today's investiture ceremony, the Governor-General will say a few words, and then he will leave the room and will invite all recipients of awards to join their Excellencies on the state entrance steps for an official photograph. Could I ask other guests to remain seated for a short moment while that photograph occurs, and then to join Lady Cosgrove and the Governor-General for refreshments in the dining room, and hopefully, if the weather warms up a little, outside on the lakeside lawn. Please, folks, no photographs during the ceremony this morning. We have an official photographer with us today. However, you're very welcome to use your cameras for photographs after the ceremony during the refreshments, including with their Excellencies. Now please relax and enjoy this special occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand for the arrival of their Excellencies, the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia and Lady Cosgrove.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you. Please be seated. Your Excellency, to be presented with the insignia of his appointment as a companion in the General Division, Professor Brian Anderson. For eminent service to information and communications technology, to engineering and to higher education as an academic, researcher and author, to professional scientific associations and as a mentor of young scientists. Professor Anderson is arguably Australia's foremost engineer in the area of information and communications technology. His career has been of the highest calibre. He has published widely, is recognised as a leader in the field and has been an inspiration to generations of students, many of whom are now leading academics. He has played an important role influencing public policy in both engineering and science for the benefit of our nation, and his international renown is evidenced through his appointments at institutions across the globe. Professor Anderson's hard work and success have been of great benefit to Australian society as a whole, and today we salute him. Professor Brian Anderson, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And then we'll turn this way. And you don't get off that lightly. I just wanted to remark that you are, without doubt, one of the preeminent scientists of this nation. The citation picked up on the fact that you're internationally renowned, but I noticed that you're a visiting professor of 11 overseas universities. So the rest of the world's discovered you as well. And I think you've been awarded by 4 other overseas governments and societies. So you are one of the leaders of a very proud group of scientists in this nation. And now your nation salutes you. Well done.
Thank you for your kind words, Your Excellency.
Appointed a Companion in the General Division, Her Excellency the Honourable Linda Dessau. For eminent service to the people of Victoria through leadership roles in the judiciary, to the advancement of economic ties and business relationships, and as a supporter of charitable, sporting and arts organisations. Her Excellency is a distinguished Australian with an impeccable record of public service, intellectual contribution, and is highly regarded for her diligence, rigour, courtesy and generosity. She has achieved the pinnacle of the legal profession whilst continuing to champion community causes and encouraging others to recognise the importance of giving back to our nation. Her Excellency's vision, outstanding leadership and endless energy are an inspiration to us all, and her appointment as Governor of Victoria has been most warmly welcomed by the community. Her Excellency, the Honourable Linda Dessau, appointed a Companion of the Order.
Your Excellency, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Your Excellency.
I'll just arrange that a little. Okay. Congratulations. Now, you've been Governor for a couple of years, but you were a very long-serving member of the Family Court, 95 through to 2013, something like that, a very long time. And it was such a sensitive judicial area that you must have just this wonderful insight into your community down there. You've also, though, you're an AFL Commissioner, or you were?
I was.
You were. You're probably, now, because you have to barrack for a club, I suppose. If you, now, the other thing is I think you've been also involved with the Melbourne Festival for quite some time as well. In all respects, Your Excellency, this is a thoroughly well-deserved award, and all of Victoria, indeed all of Australia, will applaud you today. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Appointed a Companion in the General Division, Professor Andrew Holmes. For eminent service to science through developments in the field of organic and polymer chemistry as a researcher, editor and academic, and through the governance of nationally recognised leading scientific organisations. Professor Holmes is one of the most gifted and diligent synthetic organic chemists working in our country today. He has distinguished himself through his pioneering research, which has pushed back the frontiers of science, allowing the foundation of vibrant 21st century industries. His contributions have been recognised through major international honours and awards, and his involvement with the global science community includes significant roles with prominent national and international scientific academies. Professor Holmes's commitment to excellence and the innovation that he displays sets a fine example for all of us to emulate. Professor Andrew Holmes, appointed a companion in the order.
Good morning. Well done.
Thanks.
So I think you've been accoladed by 17 overseas organisations in your time. You've been a very long-standing member and board member and in offices on the Australian Academy of Sciences, and I think you have done some wonderful work with Melbourne University and also the Imperial College in London. Is that right?
Correct, sir.
So in all respects, you're flying our flag most wonderfully, but you're doing it for the betterment of man and for the whole brilliance of science. So we congratulate you most warmly.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appointed a companion in the General Division, Dr. Martin Parkinson. For eminent service to the Australian community through leadership in public sector roles to innovative government administration and high-level program delivery, to the development of economic policy and to climate change strategy. Dr. Parkinson has had a distinguished career in high-profile public sector roles, including currently as Secretary of the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. He has served both sides of politics with great professionalism. Throughout, he has demonstrated strategic leadership, and his public policy contributions are substantial on both a national and international level. He's made significant contributions to economic policy, both macroeconomic and structural, and his development of a rational response to climate change was outstanding. Dr. Parkinson's dedication over many years makes him most worthy of this highest recognition within the Order of Australia. Dr. Martin Parkinson, appointed a companion of the Order.
Good morning. There's 250,000 or thereabouts in the Australian Federal Public Service, so it's a huge number of people, and they have to have a leader, and you're it. You are such an experienced person. You've been Secretary now for Departments of State at federal level. You are now in charge of this wonderful organisation where you set the tone for fearless, frank, professional advice. You are so diligent. You are known to be a wonderful, inspirational leader, but also a man of great intellect and great energy. So I think that this is entirely appropriate, and today not only your department but all those people that your department works to and for are applauding wildly. So congratulations, Martin.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Appointed a companion in the General Division, Professor Karen Williams. For eminent service to medical science in the field of ophthalmology through the research and development of corneal transplantation, as an academic and mentor, and as a supporter of young women scientists. Professor Williams is a biomedical research scientist who has made an outstanding contribution to science, clinical practice, and to the community. She's a world-leading transplantation biologist, and her research has been of the highest order and has found widespread application in clinical practice. On top of her own research, she is a selfless supporter of other researchers and is also a leader and mentor of young scientists, particularly women. Professor Williams has brought tremendous credit to our nation and enhanced our international scientific reputation, and today we acknowledge her. Professor Karen Williams, appointed a companion of the Order.
Now, you founded the Cornwall Bank Registry in 1985, is that right? And you've been not only the founder but the scientific director ever since. And I think everybody here relates to the fact that you're a woman with the vision that others might see. It's the most marvellous thing that you are doing still. You've been on any number. You've founded the Cornwall Bank in South Australia, is that right? Co-founded it. Okay. Well, we're just all now imagining how many people are able to see and enjoy that much of their lives, who otherwise wouldn't, because of people like you. So you're a worthy recipient of the nation's highest honour. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Appointed an officer in the General Division, the Honourable Dr. Kay Patterson, for distinguished service to the Parliament of Australia and to the community of Victoria, to the advancement of public policy and initiatives, particularly for women, and as a senior academic. Dr. Patterson is a person of considerable achievement. During her time in federal Parliament, she contributed significantly to policy development and was widely respected by the medical community for her efforts in the area of healthcare reform. She's also had a distinguished academic career, holding senior positions in higher educational institutions. Her commitment to youth and allied health organisations is also most noteworthy. Dr. Patterson is a fine example of an Australian who has served her country and community with devotion and distinction. The Honourable Dr. Kay Patterson, appointed an Officer of the Order.
Hello, good to see you again. 21 years in the federal parliament, 5 ministerial appointments. Now with Monash, which is one of the world's great universities, 8 academic appointments there, and I think one with La Trobe, just to fill in, is that right? Well, you've kept busy. Everybody here thinks that you're a marvellous and worthy recipient of this award from Australia, which says to you, for your wonderful decades of service, thank you very much, and please would you keep going.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appointed an Officer in the General Division, the late Mr. Alastair Swain, to be accepted by his cousin, Miss Colleen Madisky, for distinguished service to architecture in the Australian Capital Territory through executive roles with professional architectural institutes and to the community. Mr. Swain touched the lives of many Australians through his architecture and also through his willingness to share his wisdom and knowledge. He was a forward thinker, from architectural form and function through to diversity and inclusiveness. He practiced in Canberra for over 40 years and during that time made a valuable contribution to his profession and to the design of the national capital. Mr. Swain has left our built environment with a remarkable legacy, and we owe him a great debt of gratitude. Mrs. Colleen Madisky accepts the appointment of an Officer of the Order on behalf of her late cousin, Mr. Alastair Swain.
Come along and I'll just get you to hold that. Okay. Now, just so you know what you're getting.
Thank you very much.
That man was a wonderful servant of his community.
He was.
The architect for 2010, 2016.
Yes.
And he just passed last year.
Yes.
In August. And tell me about Urambi Village. He was there. He was an office bearer there, wasn't he?
He was. He was.
And also the Canberra Yacht Club, I think, will miss him dearly.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will.
Well, we miss him, and we're glad you're here to accept this token of the community's love and esteem for him.
Thank you very much.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Associate Professor Stephen Bradshaw, for significant service to medicine as a vascular surgeon, to health practitioner regulation and to medical education. Associate Professor Bradshaw is a person who is very committed to high standards of medical practice and medical education. He's delivered specialist surgical services in the field of vascular surgery to our community and the surrounding region of the ACT for over 20 years. He's provided teaching opportunities to countless junior medical officers and nursing staff across his career. Associate Professor Bradshaw is known as an exceptional surgeon and is highly regarded by his peers, and today is acknowledged as such. Associate Professor Stephen Bradshaw, appointed a member of the Order.
Good morning. Good morning. Congratulations. Now, you've been in responsible positions to manage medicine in the ACT. I think you were President and Chair of the ACT Health Board at some stage. And also you've been Chairman of John James and Calvary at different times. And you're obviously still a very eminent and prominent member of the community, and the community now recognises this and congratulates you most warmly.
Thanks very much.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Mrs. Kimberly Brennan, for significant service to rowing, to the welfare of elite athletes, to sport as a gold medalist at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, and to the community. Mrs. Brennan is one of this nation's most outstanding athletes and role models. As an Olympic gold, silver and bronze medalist in rowing, as well as a 3-time world champion, she epitomises many of the values that sport holds dear to it, namely teamwork, focus, determination and integrity. She's also held roles that have contributed to the wider sporting community and always encourages young rowers on their own journeys. Mrs. Brennan's efforts are of the highest order and most deserving of our nation's recognition. Mrs. Kimberly Brennan, appointed a member of the Order.
Hello, good to see you again. There we go. Third time lucky. Here we go. Now, where to start with you? You're just the most amazing person. You won the silver medal in the World Youth Championships in the hurdles. And of course, your rowing career is storied, it's legendary, and you were also, of course, chair of the Athletes Commission for 4 years? 4 years. And now, of course, we're all hanging by our fingernails wondering what you're going to do next. You are an inspiration to athletes, to women, to the community, and the community says, well done. Please do something fantastic in your next incarnation.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Dr. Hugh Dove, for significant service to agricultural science as a researcher and editor and to the study of animal nutrition. Dr. Dove has been a leading agricultural scientist of international prominence in the field of animal nutrition during a career spanning over 40 years. His skill, expertise and analytical thinking have been widely sought after, and he's an individual who has dedicated himself selflessly to the broader community of science. Dr. Dove has also been a role model for and mentor of many young scientists, and through his work has made lasting contributions to issues facing primary production in our nation. Dr. Hugh Dove, appointed a member of the Order.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Well done.
Thank you.
Now, you were the Chief Research Scientist at the CSIRO for the plant industry for 36 years. Is that right?
I rose to that rank.
You rose to that rank. Well, I just can't imagine how many young people you've affected and mentored and brought along in that time. But also there's the role you had at the Nutrient Society of Australia, and Nutrition Society of Australia. And you were in that since 1976. You still remain active there?
Yes, sir.
Well, you are somebody who is literally looking after our welfare as a national community, and no doubt your expertise, your professionalism flows overseas to our friends and neighbours. So you're a wonderfully worthy recipient of this honour, so well done.
Thank you, sir.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Mr Michael Moore, for significant service to community health, particularly to social policy reform and to the community of the Australian Capital Territory. Mr Moore has dedicated his life to public service. He served as Australia's first independent minister in the ACT Legislative Assembly, and during his political tenure championed the passage of significant harm minimisation and drug law reforms. Latterly, he has used his experience and expertise to spearhead structural and cultural change in the management of risk and preventable disease. Mr Moore's professional and personal efforts have made a sustained and exceptional contribution in the field of public health. Mr Michael Moore appointed a member of the Order.
Hello, Michael. Good to see you again.
See you again.
So you were the Minister 98 to 01.
That's good work.
And you then, or not so long ago, you were the CEO of the Public Health...
And I remain so.
And you were also the World President of the Public Health Associations globally. So I think we have here somebody who's pretty interested in health in this community, and you don't mind if that spreads all over the world. So are they, is it an active association, the global one?
It's very active. In fact, we just ran a World Congress in Melbourne 3 weeks ago.
So another success?
Incredible success.
How many did you have?
We had around 3,000, and as an indicator for those who are in IT, the tweeting wound up with over 100 million impressions worldwide.
Well done, mate. That's, we're so proud of you. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Appointed a member in the General Division, Mr James Service, for significant service to the community through contributions to charitable organisations and to the property, construction and tourism sectors. Mr Service is a leading Canberra citizen who is highly regarded in the property industry. He's demonstrated a dedicated commitment to skills training and development of new employment opportunities in the building and construction sector. He also gives freely of his time to not-for-profit organisations and is passionate about assisting others, particularly those with a disability. Mr Service gives back much to this community and is to be applauded for his efforts. Mr James Service, appointed a member of the Order.
Good morning. Good to see you again. Well, you're sort of Mr Canberra, and you've been doing all of these wonderful things for so many years that your name is a bit of a byword. You're a leader of the business community in this town, and they look to you. Your energy is legendary, and your philanthropy and your personal investment in worthy causes is, again, a byword. So the community is lucky to have you, and we're proud to see you recognised this way today.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Brigadier Stephen Beaumont, for exceptional service in the advancement of Defence International Relations and the continued development of defence intelligence capabilities. Brigadier Beaumont has demonstrated superior leadership skills in his management of a range of complex international relationships and organisational challenges. His capacity to dissect issues that identify and implement solutions has contributed significantly to intelligence capabilities. Brigadier Beaumont, through his diligence and dedication, has greatly assisted in the strengthening of international engagement with Australia's Defence Force. Brigadier Stephen Beaumont, appointed a member of the Order.
Good morning. Good to see you again. So you joined the Army in 1985?
Good year.
Yep, okay. They're all good years. I wanted to zero in. You were our Defence Attaché in Seoul for a while there, weren't you? Yeah, it's interesting times, interesting place. But particularly, I think, sitting behind this recognition of you, you performed marvellously as the Deputy Chief of Staff for Intelligence in the International Security and Assistance Force in Afghanistan. At a time, all the time there is dangerous, but at a particularly high tempo time. And through your efforts, you were able to keep, perhaps, that force, kept it safer, kept their adversaries at bay, and kept them on the run to the point where breathing space was granted to a needy country. We're very proud of you. Well done.
Thank you.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Brigadier Mark Holmes, for exceptional service in implementing approaches to modernisation in Army and the management of defence contributions to institutional reform. Brigadier Holmes has consistently worked towards the modernisation and reform of our armed forces and has demonstrated foresight and dedication to duty. He's managed a large portfolio of highly sensitive matters dealing with complex legal, ethical, moral issues on behalf of the Chief of Defence Force. With courage and skill, Brigadier Holmes has empathetically coordinated Defence's response and has always sought to achieve the best possible resolution for those concerned. Brigadier Mark Holmes, appointed a member of the Order.
Good morning. How are you?
Great, thank you.
So you got a couple of years up on your predecessor. You joined in 1983, I think. Yeah?
Yes.
That's right. So he's only a lad.
Yeah.
But in particular, you represent the go-to person within Army for what I might call the Army's response to the public's need for it to modernise and adjust certain of its behavioural attitudes. You've handled some enormously sensitive cases and these go on. Now, I think your job now still has you in that area, looking at things which need to change. And you're leading that change with sensitivity and energy and determination. Well done.
Thank you very much, sir.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Brigadier Rupert Hoskin, for exceptional service to the representation of the Australian Defence Force and engagement with international partners. Brigadier Hoskin has provided exceptional service as the Defence Attaché to France and as Project Director of the hardened and networked Army Project South Australia. His combination of exceptional linguistic, operational and representational skills has resulted in a significant enhancement in the quality and depth of engagement between Australia and France. Brigadier Hoskin has also established benchmark standards for delivering infrastructure projects and outcomes at the highest level of quality and innovation. Brigadier Rupert Hoskin, appointed a member of the Order.
Good morning, Rupert. How are you going?
Very well, thank you.
Now, you've been on operational service all over the shop, I can see from your ribbons there, Timor-Leste, Afghanistan, all those sort of places. You've also been our attaché in France during a particularly important period. The thing that intrigued me about you was that you took leave without pay from the military in 1998 to work as a volunteer in disaster relief in West Africa. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, that must have been such an enormously rewarding and enriching experience. And I think it's wonderful that after that period you came back to the Army. I think the aura of your experience and your further service with your colleagues in the Army sort of demonstrates the selflessness that we all admire. Well done.
Thanks, sir.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Colonel Andrew Lowe, For exceptional service in the delivery of small arms training and developing innovative approaches to training. Colonel Lowe has displayed strategic insight and ability as the Commanding Officer of the School of Infantry and Colonel Operations Headquarters Forces Command. He's an outstanding officer whose service has raised Army's capability through training and career management and battalion resource allocation. Colonel Lowe's superior cooperation and collaboration skills bring great credit on himself, and he's a fine example of our nation's Defence Force personnel. Colonel Andrew Lowe, appointed a member of the Order.
Morning.
Good morning, Your Excellency.
So compared to those old timers, you're just relatively a youth, but you've fitted in some work in the Solomon Islands, Afghanistan and Timor-Leste or Iraq?
Most recently Iraq.
Iraq, okay. And now you're the Colonel Operations at Forces Command?
CDSS this year.
Yeah, oh well, you're studying, oh well, you're off the hook. Yes. But I think you were managing a $400 million training budget, was that correct, at Forces Command?
Well, the commander owned it.
But you ran it, I've done that job. In any event, this is a very well-deserved reward, and good luck at CDSS.
Thank you very much.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Colonel Simon Tuckerman. For exceptional service in command positions, delivering key capability and operational support to the Australian Defence Force. Colonel Tuckerman has demonstrated leadership and commitment as Commander of the 1st Joint Movement Group and also during his deployment on Operation Accordion with Joint Task Force 633. His innovative approaches and expert personnel management in these complex and demanding appointments has been instrumental in enabling support to meet the Australian Defence Force's operational mission. Colonel Tuckerman's performance and commitment to duty exemplify Army's values. Colonel Simon Tuckerman, appointed a member of the Order.
Morning, Simon.
Thank you, sir.
All the military folks here know that when you're operating at such a huge reach as Afghanistan, Iraq and the Middle East basically, that you need somebody absolutely razor sharp on movements, and that's what you did. You looked after the drawdown out of Afghanistan brilliantly. You've been responsible for the day-to-day support of and movement of huge amounts of logistics and people in and out of the Middle East. And sadly, you've been responsible also for the repatriation of the remains of our men who have sadly died there. So in that respect, you've done all of that superbly. You're a credit to the Army and you're a credit to the very technical art of long-distance movement. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appointed a member in the Military Division, Air Commodore Scott Winchester. For exceptional service in organisational reform, strategic infrastructure planning and command. Air Commodore Winchester's extensive organisational reforms, superior infrastructure planning and key initiatives in command have generated lasting benefits for the Australian Defence Force. During his career, he has held several prominent appointments, and his keen professional insight, leadership and dedication in challenging circumstances are most noteworthy. Air Commodore Winchester's skill and mission focus across a wide range of areas reflect the qualities and high calibre of those who serve in our nation's military. Air Commodore Scott Winchester, appointed a member of the Order.
Hello, Scott. Good to see you again.
Thanks, sir.
You joined the Air Force in 1988.
That's right, sir.
And in that time, since that time, you've had 5 pivotal combat support roles. And what this means in Air Force terms is without the very efficient operations of your group, the sharp end doesn't fly and missions don't get done. And I think most recently you've been responsible for Air Force's strategic infrastructure plan, and that was in the last several years. So in all respects, you're showing yourself to be a wonderful asset to the Air Force, and I think the ADF's lucky to have you as well.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Professor Gabrielle Cooper, for service to the pharmacy sector and to tertiary education. Professor Cooper has given freely of her time for many years to the pharmacy and broader healthcare sectors. Her commitment to both has been unwavering, and she's a passionate advocate for improving health outcomes for the benefit of all in our community. Professor Cooper is a highly respected professional amongst her pharmacy and medical colleagues, and her contributions to education and research are also most noteworthy. Professor Gabrielle Cooper, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You've done wonderfully well. I think you've been either the director or a pharmacist at 7 different hospitals over time, and that includes a hospital for sick children in London. And I think you're also a professor at the University of Canberra now, aren't you, in charge of the faculty there in pharmacy?
Yes. Yeah. Set it up.
Well, in all of that respect, I mean, your community here is so grateful for your service, and I'm just imagining all those places around the world and in Australia where you've worked, and they miss you, but we're glad we've got you here.
Thank you very
Well
much.
done.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Dr. Mirzar Datu, for service to medicine as a general practitioner in rural New South Wales. Dr. Datu is a medical practitioner of the highest calibre, a man of integrity and dedication. His skills and commitment enabled him to offer his rural community of Harden and the surrounding region a service rarely seen in general practice today. He's a person who has gone above and beyond what could be expected of anyone in his profession. Dr. Datu is the best example of a fine country doctor. Dr. Mirzar Datu, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good morning. Come a bit closer. Now, you were born in a little village in northern Tanzania.
That's right.
And you came here in the 70s, and then in the 70s?
1976.
There you go. And I was only going to go to the decade. I wasn't going to. But more importantly, you have been, as the citation proclaimed, a country doctor for that entire period, and you served the community of Harden for 25 years, and now you're serving the community of Cootamundra.
Cootamundra, Young,
Yep.
and Timor too.
There we are.
As a GP anaesthetist, I was required to go to these places whenever they had emergency and there was no anaesthetist available.
Well, one of the other things, when you were in Harden, I believe you were the doctor on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
For anaesthetics, yes.
Yes, yeah. We admire you enormously, and you are such a worthy recipient, and we're so glad you came to Australia. Well done.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr. Donald Gruber, for service to the community of the Australian Capital Territory. Mr. Gruber has efficiently, diligently and enthusiastically served Rotary and the wider Canberra community over a period of more than 20 years. As a tireless volunteer, he's been particularly involved with supporting a local branch of the Men's Shed movement. Mr. Gruber is also a stalwart of fundraising projects and endeavours which have benefited a wide range of not-for-profit organisations. Mr. Donald Gruber, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.
So, Rotary since
1993.
1993, and that's the Ginninderra, is it?
Ginninderra Rotary.
Okay. And also Melbourne Men's Shed
Yes, that's
since 08.
Yeah, we started in 08.
I'm the patron. but they don't ask me to do any woodwork
You
at
can
all.
come as guest, please.
No. The Lifeline Book Fair?
Yep.
Okay. I think you've got a wonderful heart. Inside there is a huge heart, and it's driving a very generous person to do great things. The community is very proud of you.
Thank you very much.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr Nicholas Hunter. For service to rowing. Mr Hunter has made an extraordinary contribution to Australian sport, particularly to rowing, spanning over 5 decades. He has progressed from being an athlete to a leading coach, official and sports administrator. Furthermore, he's always been active and influential in promoting sporting participation from the grassroots to the international elite level. Mr Hunter is the quintessential quiet achiever who is universally admired for his efforts. Mr Nicholas Hunter awarded the Medal of the Order.
Congratulations. It says you started rowing in 1974.
Correct.
From kindergarten.
Well, I was young.
Yeah, you were young. But since then, you have been ceaseless in your support for this marvellous sport. So you've been to how many World Championships? 84, 85?
Four World Championships.
4 World Championships. Com Games?
Yes.
And did you not have something to do with, as a coach for the Olympics or the Paralympics?
Paralympics.
Paralympics, exactly right. And of course, you're a stalwart here in the ACT. I'm just checking to see whether they are really arms or whether they're oars. I think they're an extension of an oar. And I'd just like to say I thank the ACT rowing fraternity for their polite behaviour in the lake just off there.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mrs Marion McConnell. For service to community health. Mrs McConnell has been a tireless advocate for drug law reform. She has volunteered many hours to raising awareness of drug issues and promoting policies that reduce harm and minimise abuse. She's also provided support to other families who have lost a loved one and has put enormous effort into encouraging our community's leaders to search for better policy options. Mrs McConnell's award is most deserved for her years of commitment and dedication. Mrs Marion McConnell awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good morning. You're not a very tall lady, but you are just formidable. I think your zeal for this mission to engage with families for drug law reform. And there's the book you wrote. Can you tell me the title of that again?
It was 20 years, was our 20-year history, and it was fighting the drug law wars. I can't remember the name.
Well, we'll use that one.
Do you know, just remember the name?
Fighting the drug law
Yeah,
war.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody here who is a family person who will know something of families touched by the scourge of drug abuse will say that you are a champion. You're a community champion. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Sapper Curtis McGrath. For service to sport as a gold medalist at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. Sapper McGrath has been involved with the sport of para-canoeing since late 2013. He's an extremely capable athlete who has reached the pinnacle of his sport, demonstrated by his gold medal winning performance at the Rio Paralympic Games. Additionally, his work as an ambassador for canoeing is highly commendable, and his commitment to giving back to the community equally so, particularly to veterans and to armed service personnel. Sapper McGrath is someone who truly makes a difference. Today, we acknowledge Sapper Curtis McGrath, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you again. Well done. Well, you gave a marvellous speech at Anzac Day the other day, and there were people here who would have been there. I was away, but I heard all about it, and I'm so pleased that you were there as a symbol of all that is great about young Australians. Your efforts at the Paralympics, your 1,000-kilometre row back in 2013, yes. Kayaking down the coast, was it?
Yeah, up towards Sydney, Brisbane to Sydney.
Yeah. Fabulous stuff. You are so inspirational, and you are perhaps such an important person within younger Australians today, to look to you for inspiration about how one copes with adversity. You're legendary for your reported remark that when you were so gravely injured and were being evacuated, you said you were going to represent your country again. And here you are. You represent it every day. We are enormously proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mrs Anne Pratt, for service to the community through mental health support programs. Mrs Pratt has been a driving force behind an innovative project which has created a home and community for people with a mental illness in the Queanbeyan area. Additionally, she has also given generously of her time to other vital charitable organisations providing services to those in need. Mrs Pratt has shown extraordinary foresight and tenacity, and is proof that one person rolling up their sleeves is able to accomplish great things. Mrs Anne Pratt awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Well done. Home, that's the name of it, and it's for residents with mental issues.
Illness.
19 residents?
We have 19 residents, 14 men and 5 women, and we have 24-hour support. It's unique. It was the first one in Australia, and the Queanbeyan and Canberra communities have supported us with non-government.
St Benedict's Community Day?
St Benedict's is co-located with us. I ran St Benedict's for 7 years.
And you were the Monero Woman of the Year and the Queanbeyan City Council Woman of the Year in the last few years.
I was, yes.
Formidable. And we are so pleased you're there helping in this very special way. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr Scott Reardon, for service to sport as a gold medalist at the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games. Mr Reardon is one of our highest achieving para-athletes. He is a dual Paralympic sprinter, winning the gold medal in Rio last year, and prior to that he was a silver medalist at the London 2012 Paralympic Games. He's consistently applied himself to training and has maintained an outstanding level of performance. Mr Reardon is a shining example of what's possible through excellence, hard work and determination, and we salute him. Mr Scott Reardon awarded the Medal of the Order.
Hello, good to see you. Record time in the 100, 12:26?
That's correct.
Okay, yeah, you must have been going, I think. Don't think anybody here would beat you. The other thing is, this is the thing that really delighted me about you. You won a gold medal, wasn't it, in water skiing years ago in the World Championships?
Yes.
Yeah. What's next, paragliding or something? Are you still young enough and keen enough to keep competing?
Yeah, Tokyo's the goal.
Tokyo's the goal?
Yeah.
Oh, watch him go. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Ms Frances Rose, for service to victims of crime through advocacy and support roles. Ms Rose has been a strong advocate for victims of crime and legislative reform for over 12 years. She's been actively involved in lobbying for balanced changes to law enforcement protocols and procedures, which will result in a lasting legacy for community safety. Additionally, she's been a staunch supporter of and fundraiser for those with an acquired brain injury and their families. We are indebted to Ms Rose for the contributions she's made to our community. Ms Frances Rose, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good morning. Congratulations, come a bit closer. Now, out of the personal tragedy, which must be still so raw for you, there grew this determination that you would play your part to have people understand the tragedy of brain injury. And you've formed the National Brain Injury. You just participated.
No, I was a board member for a while.
Board
My
member.
major role was in victims' work
Okay.
and in legislative change.
Tell me about the scholarship that you've started there for Cleo Rose.
The Cleo Rose Travel Award.
Yes.
It's in memory of our daughter,
Yes.
who was a great traveller.
Yeah.
And it's to assist other young people at University of Canberra to undertake study overseas for a semester for undergraduates. And it's had, I think, 13 recipients so far in the last 10 years.
That is amazing, and we thank you so much for your contribution to community awareness and community activity in this regard. Well done.
Thank you.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, the late Mr Peter Ryan, to be accepted by his partner, Miss Robin Mitchell, for service to veterans and their families. Mr Ryan was very actively involved in the ex-service community, particularly for Vietnam veterans, for many years at both the state and national level. He served as a passionate advocate for veterans, their partners and families, ensuring they receive the income support, health and rehabilitation services that they need. Mr Ryan's achievements have significantly improved the lives of those who have fought for Australia, and we remember him today. Ms Robin Mitchell accepts the award of the Medal of the Order on behalf of her late partner, Mr Peter Ryan.
Hello. How are you? Turn this way. Peter was probably one of the veterans in Canberra that I knew best of all over time. A man of huge energy and drive and compassion. He was a counsellor and an interviewer for the DVA for veterans, and who knows how many hundreds of people he personally helped to achieve their due rights in that regard. And his organisation, as you know, of the Vietnam Veterans Day, which came to fruition last year, was in some ways a crowning glory for a man who epitomises a veteran of character, integrity and energy. He's a sad loss. We tried to get to the bedside to perhaps make this award there, but he passed.
It was just too late.
It was too late. But you're here and he's looking down. Well done.
Thank you.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr Bill Stevens, for service to the performing arts through a range of roles. Mr Stevens is a well-known identity in the Canberra and Queanbeyan area. He's been a major contributor to the performing arts for many years, and he's one of those rare people who emphasise the beneficial impact that the arts have on the fabric of our cultural environment. Mr Stevens, through his efforts across a variety of organisations, has added so much to the life of the local community. Mr Bill Stevens, awarded the Medal of the Order.
Hello, good morning. Now you go back to the old Philharmonic days, don't you?
Even further than that.
Oh, all right, we won't go that far.
Absolutely.
Yep. And since then, the oral history program, which is...
With the National Library, we've been there for over 30 years.
Yeah. And now Art FM. You may say the frequency here.
Frequency FM 92.7.
92.7. Art FM. You've been presenting on that since '03?
Yes, I have indeed.
well, you are an icon within the what I might call the hugely important cultural side of Canberra, and the community will be thrilled that you've been recognised in this way. Well done.
Thank you, Steve.
Awarded the medal in the General Division, Mr Paul Walsh, for service to the communities of Queanbeyan and Canberra. Mr Walsh is a well-known and respected member of our region's community. Over many years, his commitment to a range of not-for-profit and sporting organisations has been an example for others to emulate. He's worked tirelessly, volunteering many hours to raise significant funds that have ensured continuing availability of support services for those in need. Mr Walsh's passion for helping the community makes him most deserving of our recognition today. Mr Paul Walsh awarded the Medal of the Order.
Good morning.
Thank you, sir.
Now, you were a judge in the Canberra Sports Awards last year, is that right?
Yes, I've been a judge for the Sporting Hall of Fame now for close on 20 years.
Still doing it?
Still doing it.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And cancer support, what was that one?
I had 15 years on the board of the Cancer Support Group,
Yep.
and as a board member, but also was involved in a number of fundraisers. I used to run the Hawaiian Ball. We got people to wear Hawaiian shirts and raised a lot of money for that cause as well. So,
I hope that was done in November or January or something.
it was usually done in November.
And now the only other one I wanted to mention, of course, are the Mighty Tigers. How are they going this year?
The Queanbeyan Tigers, well, they had their first game lost to Ainsley last weekend. A little bit disappointing, but I'm pretty confident they'll make the finals this year. And my beloved Richmond Tigers, well, they got off to a 5-0 start, but we've got a big game on Sunday against Adelaide.
Eat 'em alive Tigers.
That's it.
Yeah. When you go back to your club for this weekend's fixtures, you tell them to play out of their skin because you've got a medal to prove it. Well done.
Your Excellency, we turn to Distinguished Service Decorations. Awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, Colonel Matthew Galton, for distinguished command and leadership in warlike operations as the Commander Task Group Taji in Iraq in 2015. Colonel Galton expertly led the inaugural Australian and New Zealand contribution to the Build Partner Capacity Program designed to train Iraqi Army forces. He coordinated multifaceted efforts to construct from the ground up a combined task group that fostered enduring relationships with and between the coalition and the Iraqis. Colonel Galton's distinguished command and the contribution he made assisted in enhancing the capability of the forces being trained and reinforced Australia's reputation as a valuable coalition partner. Colonel Matthew Galton awarded the Distinguished Service Cross.
Good to see you again. Oh, sorry. Well, I vividly recall when you were announced as the commander there, and I saw you in action, but that was such an important initiative by Australia to set up this group that trained Iraqis so they could go out and fight their nation's enemies with high hopes of success. That's exactly what they've been doing. And the group that you inaugurated and that you led, that contained Australians and New Zealanders, has become the exemplar of how to do it over in that war-torn land. So you and your men and women are helping continue to help Iraqis to have hope. Well done.
Thanks, sir.
Awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, Rear Admiral Trevor Jones, for distinguished command and leadership in warlike operations as the Commander Joint Task Force 633 while deployed to the Middle East region from November 2014 to January 2016. Admiral Jones demonstrated superior commitment by leading the expansion of ADF operations in Iraq and the reorientation of training, advice and assist operations in Afghanistan. Through his performance as Commander, he's enhanced the overall contribution and international reputation of our military in the Middle East region. Admiral Jones's applied knowledge and leadership have been in keeping with the highest standards of the Australian Defence Force. Rear Admiral Trevor Jones awarded the Distinguished Service Cross.
Hi, Trevor. Good to see you again.
Your Excellency, have you?
You commanded 1,500 of our finest during a very hectic and intense period of operations in the Middle East. You had people in Afghanistan, Iraq, and counter-piracy operations, and of course all the logistics funding into the theatre. You are our most experienced commander. You're now retired, I understand, but you left on top of your game. You are a superb leader, and you've been duly recognised.
Thank you.
Awarded the Commendation for Distinguished Service, Captain Shane Glassick. For distinguished performance in warlike operations as a senior advisor to the Afghan Ministry of Interior. Captain Glassick has displayed exceptional advisory and leadership skills in a complex multinational setting. His efforts have been instrumental in establishing enduring systems and processes that have enabled the Afghan National Defence and Security Forces to sustain themselves in operations against the insurgency and to achieve increased independence from coalition support. Captain Glassick's achievements have brought great credit upon himself and on the Royal Australian Navy. Captain Shane Glassick awarded the Commendation for Distinguished Service.
Good morning, Shane. We spoke about Taji a few moments ago, but we're talking about an individual here who was within the Ministry of Interior. And the Iraqi government, for understandable reasons, can be somewhat chaotic because of all the stresses and strains. And to corral the energy of those people who desperately want to see success in Iraq in the way that you did was amazing. I think they have a 53,000 vehicle fleet in the security forces with a woeful serviceability, availability record, and you got that up to over 90%. So that means vehicles on the ground were actually available to support their security operations. I think the other great thing I noticed about your work there was that you fielded very capable improvised explosive device systems into the Iraqi security forces. That was a major accomplishment, and that will be saving countless lives, given the nature of that war. You can be very proud of what you've done.
Your Excellency, we turn to Conspicuous Service Decorations. Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Captain Jonathan Early, for outstanding achievement and devotion to duty in maritime, operational and humanitarian response planning and deployment. Captain Early's achievement as the Director Maritime Operations has resulted in the effective prioritisation of forces in response to increasing maritime security challenges and humanitarian disasters. Through his leadership and tenacity, the Navy's fleet scheduling process has undergone a significant transformation, enabling the integration of new capability to meet a range of combat strategies. Captain Early is an exceptional officer whose devotion to duty characterises Navy's core values and signature behaviours. Captain Jonathan Early awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Hey, Jonathan, how are you? Good. Yeah. I can't remember a time when the Navy's been more busy than it presently is, and for your pivotal role in supporting that with policies and orders and arrangements for the disaster relief that has been done in the Pacific, the border operations that they do, the deployments, all of that. This is wonderful work that you've been doing. You're CEO of Adelaide now, aren't you?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, Adelaide's one of the great news ships that we've got, a fabulous ship and an extraordinarily important command. But you entered the Navy in 1990?
1990, sir.
Yeah, you look a bit younger than that, actually. You might have come in underage, I think. You are a wonderfully accomplished naval officer. You've already been recognised for your service on Operation Catalyst, commendation for distinguished service. So this is a fine accompaniment to show that you still continue to produce at an extraordinarily high level. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Commodore Stephen Hughes. For outstanding devotion to duty in the field of major warship introduction into service with the Royal Australian Navy. Commodore Hughes' superior leadership, innovation and team building has made a lasting contribution to national power through the development of new and complex maritime capability. His efforts have been instrumental in the development of a potent maritime force through the introduction of the Canberra-class amphibious ships and the new Australian amphibious capabilities. Commodore Hughes is an outstanding officer who has conducted himself in the finest tradition of the Australian Defence Force. Commodore Stephen Hughes, awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Morning, Stephen. So you're the back marker, I think, from Navy today. I don't know about the Admiral over here, but you joined in 1988?
86.
86?
Yeah.
Oh, gee, all right. Well, you're even older than I thought. But you were CO of Melbourne in the first decade? Yeah, okay, great ship. And but to you particularly, at this time, we're looking to give you our heartiest congratulations on your role in introducing these huge ships, biggest ships in the Navy, very complex, and they are a mighty addition to Navy and thus Australia's capability. So congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Mr Wayne Vickers. For outstanding achievement in the innovation of digital communications. Mr Vickers' professionalism and dedication as the Regimental Signals Officer have enhanced the technical command and control capabilities of the 1st Regiment Royal Australian Artillery. His outstanding achievements are at the cutting edge of digital communications, and his contributions in this field have significantly increased our nation's military operational effectiveness. Mr Vickers is an exemplar of innovation within Army. Mr Wayne Vickers, awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
G'day, Wayne. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Congratulations. You joined up as a digger in 95, is that right?
That's right.
And then you took a commission a little later?
Certainly.
And you've become so technically adept that you've been able to broker and actually organise, discover, invent these ways of workarounds to enable a highly protected line of communication where previously there wasn't.
That's right.
And you cobble that together for a tactical unit, and now no doubt that expertise is broadcasting to other forms of communications.
Yeah, that's right. Going through all the brigades as well.
Okay. And you're now Mr.
Yes.
I hope you're being well paid. Well done.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Wing Commander Sarah Stalker. For outstanding achievement as the Commander Air Component Coordination Element on Operation Accordion in support of Australian Defence Force operations in the Middle East region from January to July 2015. Wing Commander Stalker's planning, task management and diplomatic engagement provided an excellent level of air mobility support to Australian Defence Force operations in the Middle East region. She consistently sought to improve processes and to manage expectations across disparate nationalities. Wing Commander Stalker's engagement with the United Arab Emirates authorities meant that the effects of complicated host nation airspace control arrangements were significantly mitigated. Wing Commander Sarah Stalker awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross.
Morning, Sarah. How are you? You might have won the title of busiest woman in the Middle East, I think, for that. Over 600,000 pounds of cargo moved while you were there, and I think 5,500 people. You had to make arrangements when some FA-18s, which are on missions, had to divert, found themselves stranded at airports. You were that lady doing all that stuff. And just like as with some others earlier today, there's been this sense that there's a hugely busy person who is wonderfully professional. You fit that bill. Congratulations.
Awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal, Lieutenant Commander Catherine Ford, for meritorious achievement in the development and implementation of the Australian Defence Force Training System School. Lieutenant Commander Ford was the driving force and main contributor to the establishment of the school. Her efforts have resulted in the rationalisation of separate service training resources into a joint school and have realised significant efficiencies for our nation's Defence Force. Lieutenant Commander Ford's leadership, dedication and tireless pursuit of the creation of such a school has fostered a fresh approach to the delivery of services within defence organisations. Lieutenant Commander Catherine Ford awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal.
Hi. People look at what happens within the ADF on operations and they're always in admiration of how good it is at the sharp end and how wonderfully our people perform all over the world. But the real secret to what the ADF gets right is its training. And that training's got to be hugely professionally delivered, designed and run. It's got to be not only effective, it's got to be efficient because of the huge amounts of money involved. You showed yourself to have boundless energy and a lot of initiative. So this is a just recognition of your arrangements in getting that school to fruition. Well done.
Your Excellency, we turn to Meritorious Service Awards. Awarded the Public Service Medal, Mr David Braggett, for outstanding public service in the area of aged care reform. Mr Braggett has made a significant contribution to the improvement of ongoing services for the elderly in our community. He's been pivotal in influencing the design of the next wave of home care reform so as to achieve the best possible outcome for aged persons. Mr Braggett is a dedicated public servant whose leadership, drive and determination are central to a range of important policy reforms that will improve the lives of many Australians. Mr David Braggett, awarded the Public Service Medal.
Hi, David. Now, you've been in the public service about 24 years, something of that order?
That's right.
And I think all of it within health.
Yes.
There's hardly an area of social welfare in Australia that is more significant than dignified and appropriate care of elderly Australians. So we're growing in number, of course, and everybody understands that they must be looked after in the most modern and compassionate way. And the policies you've been deriving are hugely important in that regard. I had some little involvement in the aged care service industry a bit before I became Governor-General, and I know how crucial the policy settings are. Now I've met one of the people behind them, and I congratulate you on what you do to persuade the community that we are very serious as a nation in looking after elderly Australians. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Awarded the Public Service Medal, Ms Maria Fernandez, for outstanding public service in advancing Australia's interests. Ms Fernandez is at the forefront of the modernisation and reform of Australia's immigration and border protection mechanisms. She has consistently delivered excellent outcomes in all of her roles, in particular the review of geospatial information collection and the Defence Capability Plan. Ms Fernandez has applied her intellectual strength and ability to finding solutions to complex problems, and she exemplifies outstanding public service. Ms Maria Fernandez, awarded the Public Service Medal.
Good to see you again. Now, you've been in the public service a while, but it's got to be said to this audience, this lady is the first head of one of our key intelligence agencies, the Geospatial and Intelligence Organisation, AGO. She's been at the helm of that pivotal organisation during some really important international moments where Australia needed good information, accurately produced and produced as fast as possible. And that's what you did with your organisation. I'm referring to events like MH17, the Lint Cafe, believe it or not. You can ask her later what they did there. But in any event, you are not only a groundbreaker, you're a thorough professional, and you've been appropriately recognised here. Yeah.
Awarded the Public Service Medal, Mr Andrew Kefford, for outstanding public service to the community of the Australian Capital Territory through administrative roles. Mr Kefford has demonstrated tireless commitment and dedication in a range of senior administrative and operational roles with both the ACT and federal governments. His exemplary leadership in undertaking high-profile projects in challenging circumstances and also under significant public scrutiny is most noteworthy. Mr Kefford, through his efforts, has made a lasting and beneficial contribution to our community and is most deserving of our recognition. Mr Andrew Kefford, awarded the Public Service Medal.
Morning, Andrew. Okay. So you jumped over from the federal public service, Commonwealth public service I should say, a while ago. But in particular, you headed up the asbestos task force removal, Mr Fluffy, basically. Yeah. And you've done that to the extent where there's a very sound plan underway. And I happen to know that your staff think the world of you, and therefore they'll be overjoyed that you've got this recognition of your leadership in such sensitive circumstances. And the Commonwealth Public Service's loss was the ACT Services gain.
Thank you, sir.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Awarded the Public Service Medal, Mr Matthew Cavell, for outstanding public service to the advancement of Australian agriculture. Mr Cavell is held in the highest regard in the Australian public service and by members of the agricultural community, particularly for his contributions to drought responses policy reform. His advice is sought by departmental officers and ministers alike, specifically in regard to dealing effectively and efficiently with difficult issues. Mr Cavell's efforts have generated substantial value for our economy and are to the long-term productivity of our farming sector. Mr Matthew Cavell, awarded the Public Service Medal.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Now, you're a First Assistant Secretary still, are you? Okay. You're Mr Biosecurity, and you're not only nationally significant in that job, but also internationally known as well. You look at biosecurity inside Australia, but also in the protection of imports to us. I think you were a councillor in the EU for a while, weren't you?
That's correct, I was.
Yeah, our embassy to the EU.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
For a number of years.
3.5 years.
Yeah. Okay. So you're here to tell us we're all still safe.
We are still safe.
You're on the job.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Awarded the Public Service Medal, Dr Ralph Lattimore, for outstanding public service in the area of economic and social policy reform. Dr Lattimore embodies the concept of evidence-based policy. Over a public service career spanning more than 30 years, he has developed exceptional modelling and analytical skills. He is published in peer-reviewed academic journals and is a well-respected interlocutor with a range of economic and research entities. Dr Lattimore's dedication to the provision of significant public policy analysis and formulation on a wide variety of issues is of the highest order. Dr Ralph Lattimore awarded the Public Service Medal.
Good morning. Congratulations. You did a bit of study at Oxford, they say, got a doctorate there?
Yes.
ANU as well?
Yes.
And I think now, are you the Executive Manager Canberra for the Productivity Commission?
That's right.
Okay. And how long have you been working with the Productivity Commission?
Oh, since 1996.
Yeah, is it a good vehicle for you in your particular area of expertise?
It's a fantastic area.
Yeah, okay.
Variety all the time.
Well, obviously they're enjoying you too, because this is a very appropriate way to record your long service and your deep professionalism. Well done.
Awarded the Australian Police Medal, Detective Sergeant Mark Elvin. For distinguished service to the Australian Federal Police, particularly in the area of criminal investigations. Detective Sergeant Elvin's service with the Australian Federal Police is to be highly commended. He's undertaken challenging roles in a range of portfolios, notably in the area of major drug trafficking investigations. Additionally, his particular skills have been invaluable in the area of people smuggling. Through his efforts and dedication, Detective Sergeant Elvin has brought great credit to Australia's Federal Police Force. Detective Sergeant Mark Elvin awarded the Australian Police Medal.
Hi, Mark. Congratulations. You joined the police force in 1991.
That's right, sir.
You look a bit young for all that, but we'll take it for granted, okay. It's not very ageing because you've kept a youthful look. No doubt, though, with that flippant remark, you've been involved in some of the most challenging circumstances that confront community police. And in that regard, we say through you to you and all your colleagues how much we need you, how much we admire you, and how relieved we are to have professionals like you working in such sensitive areas. You give the community confidence and you keep them safe. Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Awarded the Australian Police Medal, Assistant Commissioner David Sharp. For distinguished service to the Australian Federal Police, particularly in the areas of counter-terrorism, change management and international relations. Assistant Commissioner Sharp has served in a range of positions, initially undertaking major investigative roles in which he proved himself to be a most effective officer. As the AFP's Senior Liaison Officer in Hanoi, he strengthened interagency relations between Australian law enforcement agencies and the governments of Vietnam and Laos. Assistant Commissioner Sharp has a distinguished career with the Australian Federal Police spanning almost 30 years. Assistant Commissioner David Sharp awarded the Australian Police Medal.
Hi, David. So, you joined in 1988 and there was a little bit of a time in there where you stepped aside when you managed the Raiders. Is that right?
That's right.
How'd they go that year?
Not that well.
They're on the rise. Well, that was quite an interesting thing to see. You obviously just decided to do that because you love your sport.
That's right, yes.
But you also served in Hanoi. That must have been an extremely interesting job. Yeah. How long were you there for?
I was there for 2.5 years. Very, very satisfying.
Yeah. And we still keep a senior police officer there?
Yes, we do.
I do,
Yes.
okay. The other thing, of course, is that you have been responsible for counter-terrorism. You're now looking at the protection side of the AFP's role, and I feel very safe, so I thank you for that. And all in all, you're a thoroughgoing professional. You may have overheard what I said to the detective who was just coming through here. That applies equally to you and to the other leadership of a great police force, the Australian Federal Police.
Thank you, sir.
Well done.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, that now concludes the formal investiture ceremony. I now invite the Governor-General to address us.
I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Ngunnawal people, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and to elders from other communities who may be with us today. This is a ceremony where we recognise those who, through outstanding determination and commitment, have made an exceptional contribution to Australia. It is my privilege to invest those being honoured, and I could see on your faces the pride that you, the family and friends, feel as you share this occasion. To each recipient, I offer my deepest congratulations, admiration and respect. Today, we acknowledge all that you have done for others and for the nation without thought for recognition or personal gain. Australians, therefore, are so fortunate to benefit from your passion and your skills and your dedication, and it's fitting that you've been recognised by our honours system. Honours help to define, encourage and reinforce our national goals and ideals. Honours identify role models and give the next generation something to aspire to. To all the recipients, you now join the company of men and women whose actions have enriched our community and our lives. Your commitment to excellence is something that your fellow citizens will revere and admire. On behalf of all Australians, thank you for your contribution. You continue to motivate and inspire us all. I hope that you will remember this day as a day when Australia said thank you. Congratulations.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Can I now please invite all of the recipients who will be escorted by our staff row by row to the state entrance steps to join the Governor-General for an official photograph. Could I ask other guests just to remain behind for a few moments before we invite you to enjoy refreshments? Thank you.